well, why didn't they use a taser? Or why does it take two or three officers? Or if the guy was running away, why did the cop shoot him in the back? And it's like under certain circumstances that is permitted under certain guidelines. So
Can you talk about that a little bit?
This is America.
I have a dream.
These are animals.
America preaches integration and practices segregation.
Why did you say Mexico?
A rising tide of discontent.
The South will rise again. I have a dream.
We have contrasting visions about what America is.
This is America.
Is there a loneliness that comes with being a black man in a police uniform, doing that job?
A lot of it is, not even getting into on one side being a black man and on the other being a police officer. It's just that lack of knowledge, which is the glue. Like you said, Steve, at first, you had questions or common questions where it's kind of like, well, why didn't they use a taser? Or why does it take two or three officers? Or if the guy was running away, why did the cop shoot him in the back? And it's like under certain circumstances that is permitted under certain guidelines. So
Can you talk about that a little bit? Can you flesh that out a little bit? Because I think that's where there is. I think it's one thing to just understand what those guidelines are to some degree, and I don't know how much you guys can go into that. But I think there's a lot of assumptions all over the board about what those guidelines are or aren't. And so I look at something and I'm like, man, and other people are looking like, well, that's what they should have done. And so I really I think that's a point of. I think there's just I think that's left up to the public to kind of make their own thoughts.
So you'd like me to kind of get into that?
I would love it.
Okay, well, it was a case in prior to 1984. It was called the Tennessee versus Gardner fleeing felon rule. So with that case, it made it so officers could shoot a fleeing felon while he's fleeing under the circumstances when that person has committed murder in its attempt, arson, robbery, rape, carjacking, aggravated assault. So under those guidelines, but see, me, like a person like me growing up, a young guy, when I had social media, and maybe we're going to get into this, but when I was on social media, you'll see these 10-second clips of an officer shooting somebody in the back, and it's like, well, there goes these pigs again. That fueled my ignorance and my hate for law enforcement. But when you see the whole 1 minute clip, it's like, okay, I understand why. And it's just, again, it's that general lack of knowledge.
The fleeing felon law. Would love to hear your comments below so we can engage in dialogue. Also, please subscribe to the channel and tell somebody if you appreciate these conversations. We're trying to be as honest, as raw as possible so that we can actually move forward in some of this stuff. Peace and love.